and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer, and if you're not new here, welcome back. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining me again for another tutorial. And we'll be making this awesome felt calendar. It's called Nordic Christmas Tree Advent Calendar. And I'm making this for a family member, so I decided to make a tutorial on it. Now, I've never actually made this before, so this will be fun. It actually looks fairly simple, which is nice, because I can't tell you how many times people would ask me kits that I would recommend for beginners, and this might be one of them. We will see. I already looked at the instructions, and there aren't a lot of instructions. It gives you two papers. We're gonna look at this paper first. Let me open it up here. And these are the instructions. That's it. I don't think I've seen so short of instructions ever. It looks like there are 85 pieces. Now in my book, if a kit is less than 100 pieces, then it's pretty doable for a beginner. So this gives you a really great picture as to, you know, what pieces you're working on and what it should look like. Looks great. So that's the first page. They do have a backside here with any instruction. These are all just general instructions. And then this is just different languages and whatnot. So that's that one. And then this one shows you each little, I don't know if you would call these ornaments or not, because you're technically hanging them on the tree. So I guess they'd be ornaments. And then here is the chart that you will be referencing. And if you hear any noises in the background, my kids are home today from school, so that's why. This is not a voiceover, folks. I am doing these videos a little bit differently. I noticed that my older tutorials, I actually had a little more time to do voiceovers, but this time around, not so much. So we're gonna be doing it this way, which is a lot easier for me. That way it's all filmed and I don't have to go back and like put in audio. Just makes it easier. So here's the rest of the ornaments. I'm gonna call them ornaments because they have little loopies on them, and we're gonna treat them like ornaments, even though they're like, it's like a countdown to Christmas. So I'm guessing there's 25 ornaments. There must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there must be duplicates. Yeah, okay. Now if you look on here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24. Yeah, so there's probably duplicates of these. So that's what the instructions look like. And I already went ahead and sorted my colors because I like to do that. I like to sort my colors, and I'll show you kind of my method. So I use little snack bags to put in all my beads and my sequins. This is just convenient for me because I have little kids, and I don't want my kids to get into my beads and sequins. So I put them in a bag and I hide them. And then here's the sorted threads. And all the materials that I use to make this particular kit will be in the description box below. If you click on that link, it'll take you to an Amazon item. And every time you purchase through that item or through that link, I get a small commission. It costs nothing to you, but it helps me out, so much appreciated. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colors. I mean, that's not a lot. So those are the colors, and sometimes I'll use my pencil and mark. Okay. Also, I wanted to show you guys the 2 needles that come in the kit. And there are 2 separate needles. This needle is the needle you'll be using to applique all your felt pieces together. And it is a little shorter and a little bit thicker, and the eye is a little bit bigger. So that's that needle. And this needle has the blue stripe on it. This needle is taller and it's skinnier. And this is what you'll be using for your beads and your sequins. The beads will not go through this needle. And you'll find out real quick that if you accidentally grab your applique needle, you'll realize, oops, this is a little too thick. So this needle is for beading and sequining. And I wanted to show you what they look like in the package before I put them in with my stash, because I like to keep every needle that I get out of the kits. So I accumulate some, and sometimes they break. So this is definitely not all the needles that I have had in my lifetime. I've had many break in the past, and so I keep the ones that are robust and I throw away the ones that break, because they do break. And if you feel like one needle is just not enough, this is your very first kit, and one needle's not enough, you can go ahead and purchase these. I have purchased them in the past, but I usually don't because I have enough, so you can purchase those. So I'm gonna actually stick these back in here and just show you the felt that the kit comes in. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside. This is the baggie that had all the thread in there and all the beads and sequins. So I'm just gonna put that up on the side here, and I'm gonna show you what is actually in your kit. It comes in here. So we've got all these felt, and notice how they're stamped and they are numbered. Makes it super easy. The yellow is a little bit on the thin side. Green, red, and then the white. And it looks like our main color to this kit is green. So we've got the green here for the main portion of our project. And then we have this. So this is not felt. This is called Pellon, which is kind of a thick material, but it's sewable, so you can hand sew it. And this, I believe, is for the back of your project when you're all done. And there's the base to it. And I'm gonna have to look in the instructions, because sometimes a piece of cardboard or some hard material is usually between the felt and the Pellon backing. So I'm gonna have to look. I'll look later, but I just want to show you what you get in the kit and the instructions. First things first, when you get your kit, make sure you open up your chart and you sort all your colors like I showed you on the ring that I have. So take a moment. If you need to pause the video, if you're following along, pause the video and sort your threads. Okay, so now that your thread is sorted and marked like this, and even if you don't have one of these rings, you can use anything you want. So I just like this because it's convenient. Now that we have those done, we're going to take a look at our instructions and refer to these often, especially if you've never done one of these before. And it gives you some simple instructions on, make sure you do each number in order and all that stuff. So step one, we're going to jump down to step 1, and it's the tree, which is this part right here. So the tree, and we're going to refer to the design chart, which is this, as well as this chart for stitches and other things. So the first thing is embroider and sequin the front of the tree pot, which is number 1. So tree pot is down here. And according to this picture, we're looking for red. So red felt. This is good to have on hand. So red felt. Okay. Here we go. So here's the piece that we want. We are going to cut it out using fabric scissors because regular scissors just doesn't cut as nice. Okay. I'm so happy about my new cutting mat. Isn't it pretty? So we're just gonna cut this out. Didn't quite get the corner there. Okay. And cut on the inside of the stamp. And if you miss, that's fine, you can go back and take off the stamp. And I like to keep my scraps, so I'm going to keep this scrap of felt for something else. So I'm actually gonna go like that and keep that over there. I'm gonna take this piece, put this back in the pile, like so, and then we're gonna trim this bottom here. Okay. Notice there's still stamp, so I like to take away all the stamp. I've seen people leave the stamp. I'm not a fan of the look, so I don't do it. I mean, it doesn't really matter for this, but it's going to be covered, but for down here, I'm just trimming off the felt. And I do want to make a quick note that I do not iron any of my felt, by the way. So I know a lot of people say, hey, you should iron it first. Honestly, I don't see a reason to. Felt is very like sturdy material, and after a while, like you notice this was kind of folded, right? So after a while, it just kind of straightens out. No big deal. So I'm gonna prep my materials, and we're gonna start step number 1. Okay, hopefully my lighting is a little bit better, sort of. So I'm looking at these symbols right here. If you look at this, I was like, what the heck kind of symbol is that? Like, I was like racking my brain trying to figure it out, and it just hit me. Okay, so this, it's in a crisscross, like an X, and it's referring to this right here. So 2 white straight stitch. And I wish they would have done that a little differently or used a different symbol. Luckily though, we've got a picture for reference. So these are little X's, if you can see. Sorry, I should probably take this out of the plastic so we can see better. So yeah, they're little tiny X's. So we're just gonna do X's. Okay, so we have, always refer to the chart, we've got 2 white and a straight stitch. And then these symbols refer to this down here. So this is a straight stitch. Pretty darn simple. So we're gonna take our white here. We're gonna use this one just because it's closest. And it says 2 strands, and we're going to use 2 strands, but we're going to use 1 strand, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm trying to get this, there we go. Like, what the heck? All right, stick that back on there, and we're going to use the applique needle, this one right here. It's a thick needle. If I can get it in there. Got like fuzz on me. What the heck? Okay. Okay, this is how I thread my needles. And this is how you do 2 strands. And we're gonna knot the bottom here, like that. And now we have 2 strands instead of 1. So that's how I do 2 strands. And these X's, I don't think there's any particular order, but we're gonna start, let me actually move the camera down a little bit. So we're gonna start with this X right here. We're gonna cross it up like so. And then we're gonna come down here and go up again. Okay, that's our first X. Now, if you want to keep going, you totally can. If you don't, if you want to do each X individually, you can do a double knot back here, which I'll show you how to do. I do have separate videos for these, but might as well do one now. Okay, so that's double knotted. And then I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not gonna cut my thread or anything. I'm just gonna keep going. So we're gonna do the same thing again. So strange having my kids home. They're normally at school right now. Okay. There's another X. And you keep going all the way down, or all the way across, and then I would knot and cut off right there, and then move down and do this. So I'm gonna do that off camera, and I'll get back to you when I'm done. Okay, so we are done with the little X's, and now we're gonna move on to this line right here, and it'll tell you that this is three strands of white, and we're gonna do the outline stitch. So I grabbed another thing of thread, and it looks like this is 4, I think. Yep, okay. So we only need 3. So I'm just gonna take one out, and then I'm gonna put this back on here. And this will be my dedicated set of 3 white needle. And I'll show you how to thread an odd number. So we have 3 strands here, and I am grabbing another needle. Now, if you don't have more than 1 needle, then you'll have to take off the thread you used and put on a new thread. So but it's always good to have several needles. So we're just gonna, luckily the eye of this needle is big enough to do that. So we are gonna go about there. And since we can't double knot both ends together, we're just gonna double knot the one end and then leave the other end free. So we're gonna knot that end like that. And then we're going to do an outline stitch all along here. Now let me pull my camera in just a little bit. Okay. So it's this line that we're doing the outline stitch, and it looks like the outline stitch, whoops, the 3 strands is gonna be, there's gonna be a lot from the chart, so. So I am using the reference of my last stitch to gauge my next one. And every once in a while, you're gonna wanna unravel your thread, because when you do circles like in motion, like what we're doing now, your thread will become kind of twisted and knots will form, and we don't want knots to form. So this is the outline stitch. And we're going to do that all the way down. And then when you're done, you're just going to take your needle at the end and you're just going to push it all the way through and then do a double knot. Your thread should always be up when you're doing an outline stitch. If your thread is down while doing an outline stitch, it is no longer an outline stitch. It is a different type of stitch. And outline stitches take practice. So if yours looks kind of wonky, that's okay. You gotta remember, this is handmade. So it's not gonna be perfect the first time. If you are a seasoned pro, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you're a beginner, like most of my viewers, then you know what I'm talking about. Oh man, I should, one of these days I'll have my parents bring down the stockings that I made for them, and I should show you what they look like. I'm sure they look fine, but now that I've done this for a while, because those are the first stockings that I made, where they were for my family. Okay, getting to the end here. So we're at the end, and I'm just going to place my needle where I would start another stitch, but we're not. We're going to end one. So that's the ending. And then we're going to turn it over. And this is what the back should look like, roughly. Okay. Doing a double knot here. Oops, that's not a, I don't want to do a triple knot, just a double. And I like to hide my tail, like that. And then we're going to trim it. And then we're done with that. So there's the outline stitch. Now that we are finished with our embroidery, now it's time to move on to the beads and sequins. I have to say, beading and sequining is probably my favorite. I love doing beads and sequins because it's just, I don't know, there's something about it. I love doing it. Okay, so these little dots are showing you where to put each bead and sequin. There's also some down here too. And we are using red on red today. So I just grabbed a little pile and a little pile, and we are using the beading needle this time, so make sure you switch your needle out. Man, my hands are dry. That's what happens when you work with felt all the time. And notice, if you've read ahead and you're asking me, okay, well, why are you using 2 strands of thread instead of 1? Because the actual instructions recommend 1 strand. And here's my reasoning. I use 2 strands for my beads and sequins because the thread will break. It's broken on me many, many times because guess what? Embroidery thread is cotton. This is cotton thread. If I pull on this hard enough, it will break. The chances of it breaking with 2 are less, but I guarantee you, if you use 1 strand, at some point it will break while you're in the middle of beading. It's happened to me many times. So I've got abundance of colors of thread for this purpose. So I've accumulated many colors and I keep them all because I want to double my thread for all of my beads and sequins for all my kits. So that's what I'm doing here. So if you're confused, you can just stick with 1 strand. That's fine. I'm just showing you the way I do it, which is 2 strands, because this cotton thread will break, and it has broken several times. So we are going to come up from the back, and we are going to start here. You can start whatever way, but I like to go, you know, right to left. And we're going to pick up a bead, okay, and we're going to pick up a sequin. Now, sequins are kind of in a cup shape. If you look at this sequin, the lips of it should be facing up, like so. And the bead will rest on top. So I'm just going to grab, so that's how it should look. I'm going to pull it down, and we are going to put the needle underneath the bead. Okay, if you accidentally put the needle through the bead, your bead and sequin will pop off and you'll have to start over. So put your needle right here, pull it through, and there you have it, a bead and a sequin. Good job, congratulations, you just did a bead and sequin. And if you want to, you can double knot it back here for each individual one. I don't do that. The only time I do that is if the bead is by itself, like the bead and sequin is just kind of by itself. So in this case, they're so close together, I'm just going to keep going. So I'm just going to keep going. We're going to pick up another one. Make sure it's like a saucer. You know how saucers have the lips kind of curve up a little bit? That's what you want. And then the bead rests on top, like so. And your needle needs to go underneath the bead and not through the bead. And there you go. Now you do this for the entire line, and this line, and then this one. And then we'll come back for the next step. Okay, so now that we got that done, looks good. I went ahead and cut this out because these little triangles are a little hard to cut out. So I went ahead and did it just off the camera. And now we're gonna do the applique or the embroidery along the top and along the bottom. And this one calls for 3 strands of red. Same rules apply with the 3 strands. So we're just gonna move the pencil, and we're gonna add an outline stitch. Nope, not an outline stitch. We are doing a back stitch. We are doing a back stitch. So back stitches are a little bit tricky. I'm wondering if I should go this way. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which way you start. Just gonna go like that. If you hear noise in the background, it's my children. I just got home from school. That's back stitch. The trick with the back stitch is making the stitches this similar size. Try and keep the stitches similar in length. Okay, so we're coming up to the end here. This is what I have so far. And I have a little bit of an edge I can work with. I don't go all the way to the edge. I just kind of give myself a little bit of room. And you can always rub off the stamp if it bothers you. There you go. And we're going to tie it off in the back. Just a double knot, and then I'm just going to hide the tail back here. And then trim it. Okay, so we got the top done, and you're going to do the exact same thing with the bottom. Alright, so now we've got the embroidery done. Next thing is the beads and sequins. And if you look at the chart here, there's two kinds. There's the white, and then there's the hearts. Now, if you look at the chart, the hearts are red. So it's a combination of white and red, which means that all of these are white, and then the clusters and little ones in the middle are red. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. How I would do it is I would actually move on to add 4, 5, 6, and 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. First, before doing the beading. That way you have like a smaller piece to work with, and you can just kind of put it on, and then once it's all finished, then you can applique the entire thing onto the piece. Okay, I was gonna cut these out, but I wanted to point something out real quick. I was just counting how many of these pieces that I needed, and I noticed that this one is not marked. And if this happens to you, sometimes you just kind of have to guess what it is. And this happens periodically, so make sure you're paying attention. And I do need 3 6s, so I'm gonna assume that this is a 6 because these are marked. So I'm gonna cut out all the numbers that I need, and then we will continue. I will cut out the individual ones one at a time and applique them as needed in order. So let's just do that. So we're gonna do this all the way down to the end here, and then I will skip to the end to show you how to tie it off, and then we're gonna do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, so I cut out my first piece. It's a number 3 triangle, and I'm actually gonna secure it down with a bead and sequin first. And then I'll go back and applique around it. That bead did not want to cooperate. So that way I can just kind of position this wherever I want to, and it won't really move anywhere. And then I can go back and add an applique stitch on the outside, or a couple of or maybe just a couple of tack down stitches. Doesn't need to be completely appliqued. So there's piece number 3, and we're doing 2 of those. I'm gonna do this one next, and then I'm gonna jump over and do those number 4s, and I'll show you those ones. Okay, real quick, I did cut out number 4, but I wanted to show you how I am attaching the red ones, the red little diamonds, to the tree bottom. I'm just gonna add just like 2 stitches on each side. Like that. That way it doesn't shift around. And I'm gonna go around and do that for the other one as well. And then I am going to applique this piece onto here, and then I'm gonna add the embroidery on top of it. So once I get to that point, I will skip to that. Okay, I'm just finishing the applique for this piece here. Just gonna stop there. I'll just show you where my stitches are. And it's a little tricky to embroider or applique the tops, so I just kind of leave them, and I just do a stitch here and then a stitch on the other side, and same with this one. So that's how I do the corners, or the little the tips of that piece. I try not to go into the tip because it will fray, because it's really thin. So okay, now that we have that piece appliqued on, I believe the next step is to put the straight stitch on here, and that is 2 white, which I have ready because I'm prepped for it. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you start. I'm just gonna start here and end around here. I'm gonna check the picture real quick. So if you look, it kind of stops at the tip, sort of. So if you want to get all the way to the tip, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. So I'm just gonna stop right there. I think that looks good. We're gonna do this for every piece for the following. So now that you know what to do for the next ones, I will skip ahead when I'm finished and I'll show you what it looks like completely done. And then we're gonna apply this piece onto this piece. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Sorry for the noise in the background, my kids are playing. So here's what we have. Everything's done on this piece. So I just took a pin and we're gonna apply this piece onto the red piece. And I'm just gonna show you the beginnings of how I start an applique. I like to start on the edge and sandwich the knot in between the felt pieces like that. And then applique like that. And we're gonna go all the way around and applique the entire piece. Okay, so we finished the front. It is appliqued on there nicely. And now we have to put it on the back. And the backing is actually on this Pellin material. So we're gonna cut this out and we are going to put this on here, and I believe we are stuffing. Yep, it says stuff and applique the back of the tree pot to the front. So that is what we are going to do. So I'm gonna cut this out and then I'll cut to the next part. Okay, now that we have this cut out, I do want to mention that there is a stamp on here, and since this is the backing, we're gonna actually put this like this. So we're gonna do wrong sides together here because we're going to be inserting this inside the tree, and that'll be in the next video. So make sure you don't miss the next tutorial and I show you how to do that. But for now, we're just gonna applique this together, and we are stuffing this very, very lightly. Don't overstuff, because I don't think the tree itself is stuffed. So we are going to applique this together, and we are going to use white for this part and red for this part. So I'm just going to start here with the white, sandwiching my knot in between the backing and the felt, and we're just going to applique these together. Luckily, this Pellin backing is really easy to sew through, so you shouldn't have any troubles. And we're going to keep going all the way around. Make sure you're changing threads so that you match the front, whatever you're working on. And then I'll show you when that's done. Okay, so I was able to finish most of this, but I did keep the bottom open because we are stuffing this. So that's what I have so far. I have some polyfiber fill here that I'm going to put inside like so. And I do have either a chopstick or a pencil around here somewhere. I'm not gonna like stuff it too much because overstuffing is always a little bit tricky to work with. Okay, so I might add just a little bit more. I like to take it and just spread it a little bit, make it a little bit more even, and just press it down, move it around with my fingers. chopstick and kind of get the corners a little bit. Although the corners aren't as important because we won't really see the corners because they're going to be covered up by the tree. But that's what we have so far. And it does have a little bit of like body to it now, so it's not completely overstuffed. And what we're going to do is we're going to close it up and finish. This will be finishing the bottom. Okay, we got the bottom completely done. The back is appliqued and stuffed. And that's it for this video. Join me for the next video. We're going to start with the main body of the tree right here. So we're going to do this part in the next video. And thanks for watching to the end. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.